We tried something new on our podcast. It's a new type of collaboration for us, and it was amazing and so much fun. You're about to experience it on this episode, and I really want you to let us know what you think. You're listening to the PHEC Podcast, episode 454. Welcome to the Public Health Epidemiology Conversations Podcast, where we have honest conversations with public health professionals who are creating meaningful impact in communities around the world. They know that the field of public health touches everything. I'm your host, Dr. Charlotte Hughes Huntley, and today we're exploring the fascinating journey of our guests and diving into another conversation that bridges different perspectives with the practical wisdom you need to fuel your impact. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I lead an epidemiology consulting firm that supports large nonprofit organizations and community health foundations. We specialize in a variety of community assessments, workshops, and trainings, ultimately helping our clients communicate their health information in plain language to their community partners as well as the broader communities they serve. The support that we provide often falls in the category of strategic planning and sometimes capacity building. It just depends upon the needs of our clients. Please reach out to us through our website, drchuntley.com. We'd be happy to meet with you and just explore how we might be able to support your organization. We'll make sure that the links are in the show notes and the description for this episode. Now, I'm excited, very excited. I'm excited every time I introduce an episode. You hear me say that if you follow this podcast, and that's very true. This time is a little different. We experimented a bit, and we're presenting something to you very new and different. And I'm thrilled because let me explain. We attended a conference, and you heard me talk about this. If you followed this podcast, I've mentioned the conference as a part of one of my episodes a few weeks back. Well, it took us a while to get this edited and all put together. But at this conference, not only did I serve as moderator, but my company also, we had two booths at this conference. One was for the support that we provide through our sister company for public health entrepreneurs. The other table in the booth was for my consulting services and the work that I do. And we really featured the podcast as a centerpiece. And we've been wanting to do this in the past, but we wanted to record on site live at the conference and put together an episode. I wasn't sure how it would work out, but because this was a local conference, it was easier for us to plan this because I could really take whatever equipment I wanted in my car locally, as opposed to when we attend conferences that are several states away, we have to pack and ship equipment. So anyway, it was an easier way for me to test this out and experiment. So at our booth, we set up a little mini studio. I didn't want it to be too overwhelming for anybody who is maybe a little intimidated, but I wanted to just have the opportunity. So we had a little studio. We had the microphone. I didn't take this one. I took a different microphone, one that I normally travel with. We had the microphone, a stand. We used a laptop. I had a nice light for the camera. We had a nice little setup, and it was just positioned well on like the side of our booth. And we didn't tell everyone ahead of time that we were intending to record on site. But once the very first day, we started kind of spreading the word, and we stood out because, it wasn't your traditional table at a booth because of the microphone and the stand and the light. It naturally drew attention. So also, if you follow this podcast, we often have the series, What is Public Health? And it is definitely a goal of mine to get us all practicing really explaining public health in more plain language terms, and also incorporating story whenever possible to help the community better understand what we do. And I'm really passionate about this. I really believe that the effort that we do, that we make into better communicating public health, we have the opportunity to get more of a community buy-in. If people who are outside of public health, who are not public health trained, if our broader community genuinely understands the work that we do, there's increased value, and we're not so easily erased and dismantled. And I think we get more of a community buy-in as we advocate for public health services. We get more people really understanding it. So often I will have these series on this podcast, and I'll bring my guests in and I'll say, how are you explaining public health to your family, friends, just people who are outside of the industry, and share stories. And we talk about it on these episodes. I'm sure you've listened to some of them. I've learned so far that it's really a challenge. And I think people are starting to realize that even when we think we're explaining in plain language is still a challenge to really explain it without the textbook jargon, but where people can really relate. It is true that when public health is at its best, it's often silent in the background, but that doesn't mean that we can remain silent. We still have to really promote that, sell that, so people understand the strength in that silence. So as a part of this conference series, I thought it would be great to just simply ask people, what is public health? So I started spreading the word around the conference, and I said, I want people who want to come and just come on the mic, introduce themselves. I said, introduce yourself and what you do, and then just answer the question, what is public health? And how do you explain it to people who are outside of your immediate niche, outside of public health? And that's the only instruction I gave. I asked them, I did encourage them to share a story. What happened really shocked us. I hoped that we would get maybe 2 or 3 recordings and then we could make an episode and that would be great. We got over a dozen people who jumped in on the spot to grab the mic and share a response. That blew us away because that kept our booth very busy. The energy was high. People really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a mixture. So I'm going to give a few shout outs to the variety of organizations where they had people participating. The other thing I noticed was my team, because we're pretty much a remote team. We get together in person a few times a year. So it was also interesting for my team to now that they're used to managing the podcast in the background, the emails and all the things they need to do. But now they're in person with me. They're getting to see all the little nuance, things that happen in the process of recording a podcast and how to organize this in person. So it was really, they jumped into place really quickly, but it was a real applied experience for my team. But they took over and it was great because I got to watch what was happening. So we'll share across social media with some video clips of the people that chose to stay on camera and little clips of, around the scene. Because sometimes at one point, we literally had a line at our booth of people lined up waiting for their opportunity to record. We loved it all. We were prepared for it all. I also think it was fun to watch the number of people that decided to put on the headphones because I had an extra set of headphones there. I have no shortage of fun equipment, so it gave me a chance to pull out a lot of stuff to play with during that time. But there were people that loved to put on the headphones, really talk onto the mic. A few people chose to turn the camera off. They felt more comfortable with it off. But most people really started to get into it and just had a lot of fun. So kudos to everyone who participated because I realize that I podcast all the time and it's not as easy to just jump on a mic if you're not used to doing that all the time and answer a question spontaneously. But just the spirit of wanting to participate and lift up these voices across South Carolina, which was great. I live in South Carolina, so it was especially exciting for me to collaborate with so many partners. So let me just give you a sense of who was there. We had students, and I'm talking about undergraduate public health students and graduate level public health students. We had some consultants who participated in this. We had people who worked for the Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare, which is a program that is partnered with the University of South Carolina. We had representatives from academia that include the University of South Carolina, the Medical University of South Carolina, so MUSC, if you all are familiar. And some of our students who participated were from Lander University. So we had 3 different universities represented, and I think that really encompassed the ones that were present for this event. We had someone who spoke from South Carolina Telehealth Alliance, which I didn't even know existed until I was at this conference. So more about them coming up soon because I've invited them to come on a podcast for a full episode to talk about what they do. I was really fascinated by that. There were several organizations that I discovered that were new to me from being at this conference that you'll get to hear more about. There's some great things happening here in my state that I'm excited to share with you. And we had several representatives from the South Carolina Department of Public Health and a variety of voices. You'll hear them introduce themselves and where they're from as they speak. This is just exciting for me. Also, I used to work for the state back in the old days. So it was really nice to have all of this blend of voices. I guess that's really the point I want to raise. So a blend of academia. There are 3 different institutions here in South Carolina represented on this episode. These voices, and from students to directors of departments and government, mixture of our Department of Public Health Agency employees, and like I said, consultants. It's just really, I'm excited to have them, proud to have these voices highlighted on our podcast And I'm just, again, grateful for people who raised their hand and was excited to take a part of our spontaneous activity here. So I'd love for you to listen through and just keep in mind that it's easy to say, okay, yes, plain language, and to say I would do this or and to point out, what you would do. But on the spot, these are responses that people are sharing. And I think there's a variety of responses, some that are going to be great for maybe other departments where you work, maybe even in public health that maybe could use have a little bit of public health understanding, but this makes it a little bit more plain. And then there's some really, truly plain language examples in here that are great for the outside of public health, which is what I was going for, but you'll hear the difference. Some of these are going to be great for maybe how you speak with children or how you're speaking with people, just your neighbors and friends. And maybe you can take some inspiration from what they share and tweak it and make it your own. But kudos to everyone who participated. And I'm really proud to uplift South Carolina and show a lot of love and this collaboration. I think it's just the beginning of many. So now we've validated this and as a team, we realize, oh, yes, we can do this. So if you see us coming to a conference that you're attending, we will likely have a setup like this because it's just an incredible opportunity to be able to come together and highlight voices. So let's see, a few other things. This is a little rough around the edges in sense of you have to remember we're on site, even though we had some equipment set up and we put things in place to try to minimize noise. And there is the background sound of a conference. It is a conference. So you will have the background noise. I personally like it. I think it adds a little on the spot, on demand energy that you just don't get when I'm in a quiet studio like right now speaking with you. So that's something to just keep in mind unapologetically, because I asked my editors not to try to worry about the background noise, leave it in there. So you'll hear that on purpose because I think it just speaks to where we are. There was one time we had a little technical glitch and our stand mic wasn't working. So I pulled out my cute little, have one of those little small microphones, like a lav mic that people will use when they're just talking. And sometimes I use it when I'm recording as traveling. So I just pulled that out and I did an interview, and that was a whole lot of fun too. So you can't tell if you're doing just the audio version of this podcast, maybe which one of those interviews that is. But if you're following us across social media, you'll see because we made that little clip and it's different from where people are sitting down at our little setup there. So let's just go ahead and connect. It's a series. And as I'm sharing this part with you, I don't know how the outcome is. So we handed all of the clips to our editing team and let them work their magic. But I just want it to be just a series of clips for you to hear. People are just responding to that question, sharing however they decide to share, and then I'll come back at the end and we'll wrap up.
I'm Ed Simmer, a director of the South Carolina Department of Public Health. I think there's two important parts to public health. First is making sure people have the information they need to make good choices about their health. Accurate information, reliable information in a way they can understand and easily get access to. I think the second part of public health then is making sure people have access to the services and care that they need. Because you can have all the information you want. If you can't use it, it doesn't matter.
Hello, my name is Johnny Savostic, and I'm the CEO of the Dynamis Agency, and I am a collector of elephants. I currently have about 82 elephants that's in one room. It's called the Elephant Room. So, what is public health? If I were to explain public health to my 11-year-old niece, I would give the example of our annual trip to Myrtle Beach for spring break. So I will let her know that public health is us waking up early on a Wednesday morning and the clean water that we use to shower and brush our teeth in, that is public health. I will let her know that the fresh fruit and vegetables that we are able to pack, our bottles of water that are in our plastic bottles of water, that is public health. I would let her know that the clean air that we're able to breathe in because our sunroof is out, open, that is while we are riding down I-20, that is public health. I'll let her know that the beaches that we are able to walk on barefoot to pick up the lovely seashells she loves to pick up, that is public health. The fact that we're able to walk in the water, the fact that we're able to touch the water and even drink it if we want to, that is public health. I will let her know that everything around us is public health. From the time we are born to the time we die, public health touches our lives. The crab legs that we're able to eat at the all-you-can-eat buffet, the fact that they are monitored and we go into the restaurant that has the A grading on the door, that is public health for our trip. The shopping that we go on, the shopping trips, that is public health. Everything that she does from the time that she was born 11 years ago to we picked up the birth certificate until all the things that she's going to enjoy in life, including our annual Myrtle Beach trip, public health plays a part into everything that we do until the end of her time when, unfortunately, someone will have to go pick up a death certificate for her. Public health will always be a part of her life. And I will let her know this is why Auntie gets up every day to go to work so that she can have and enjoy the luxuries that she does in life to be a public health champion because public health is affecting her life. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rose Lord Harrigan. I usually go by Rose. I am a Lender senior student in public health, graduating in May. So excited. Public health means to me, public health is about keeping whole communities healthy and not just treating one person at a time. It focuses on preventing problems before they start by promoting healthy behaviors, habits, educating people, and making sure everyone has access to resources like clean water, safe food, and healthcare, etc. So public health focuses on many things. It focuses on a holistic aspect of human beings, which can tackle any area of life. And that's why I like public health. And I'm excited to be graduating and going into the field and impacting others and going into the community and making a difference. Thank you.
My name is Chelsea Driver. I am a senior public health student at Lander University, graduating in May 2026. And my answer of public health is just about looking at the bigger picture and helping entire communities stay healthy. For example, things like vaccines, clean water, health education, and community programs are all part of public health. A lot of it focuses on prevention and happens behind the scenes, but it plays a huge role in keeping people safe and improving quality of life. And I'm so excited to graduate in May and become a public health professional. Thank you.
Hi, I am Dr. Jaquetta Cobbs. I am the Associate Vice Chair of Public Health Education at the Medical University of South Carolina for the Masters of Public Health program. So in my role, I work with students from the time that they enroll in the Masters of Public Health program until the time that they graduate and even beyond graduation. I am also an assistant professor of epidemiology. So I do teach health disparities epidemiology within our MPH curriculum. What public health means to me, if I was describing public health to my 8-year-old, I would say public health is about connecting with our respective communities, having a clear understanding of our community, what their needs are, and then being able to actively connect them to those resources that they need within their community so that they can have a healthy life. So that's how I would describe public health to my 8-year-old.
When people ask me what public health is, I like to say, take a deep breath.
No.
Did you just breathe in clean air? Because that's public health. When you got here, did you walk down the street and have a safe sidewalk? That's public health. Public health is all of the systems working together to keep you healthy and prevent you from going to the hospital and helping you to have a high quality of life. It is our educators, our transportation, housing, health educators, everybody working together to make our place healthier.
Good afternoon. I'm Marjorie Brown with MRB Public Health Consulting. I help communities. I facilitate conversations. I live and breathe and work with mamas, for mamas, and with mamas. What is public health? Public health is, in my opinion, for the people, with the people, and about the community. Public health is the people's health. And in its most simplest form, it is in everything we do. It is around everything we love, and it supports everything we want to be.
Hi, my name is Iris Gadsden. I am a program coordinator with the Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare, which is a center of excellence under USC School of Medicine. Defining rural health is always difficult. Public health has so many facets of it. I think public health applies to so many different disciplines. Essentially, we are here to support everyone in the way that they are, in the situations that they are, in the experiences, in the geography, in the places that they are. So public health, not only are we looking at medical facets, but also community-based, really understanding what can we do to support the community and move them forward. At a baseline, at a foundation, we really want individuals to live the best lives that they can, no matter who they are, no matter where they live. And like I said, I specifically work in rural health, so I'm always talking about rural, which is always defined differently depending on who you're talking about. But we really, in public health in general, really want everyone to move forward as best as they can.
I'm Lee Pearson, Executive Director of Operations and Accreditation in the Arnold School of Public Health. What is public health to me? Public health is about helping everyone to live healthier and longer lives. It's about making a difference in our communities and about leaving a legacy of hope and good health for our state and for our nation.
Good afternoon. My name is Pam M. I'm a community psychologist, and I'm currently working at the Courage Center. I was asked to say a little bit about my thoughts about what public health is. So I think about things like the importance of vaccines so people don't get ill and can prevent diseases in children. I think about things like clean drinking water and how important that is to everybody. I think about things like kids in parks, and let's get them outside having some fun times in the sun, in the snow, and moving, which is most important. I think about the importance of everybody being trained in how to administer Narcan, which is the opioid antidote for those who have overdosed, which 99% of the time is something that is accidental. So that's a sample of my broad thinking in terms of what public health is. Certainly, the variety of topics, I'm reminded about how much fun it can be to work in public health. How much fun it can be because you get to pick your area of specialty. And if you have experience with things that many people do, maybe you're diabetic and, that started when you were younger, maybe you're interested in that topic and trying to think about how to prevent that in future generations. So that's a career. We also think about ways that you can collaborate with other different types of content areas. So a lot of this happens with children. Certainly we want babies to get all the vaccines and food that they need, but sometimes that can be challenged by things like transportation. So how might we think about building capacity for transportation to be tweaked a little bit so maybe they can make it easier and increase the access to transportation in order for moms to get places. So again, my point here is jobs in public health are fun, and people seem to stay a long time is what I've noticed. There are a variety of public health degrees that you can get. One of the things that's also important and very useful is you will get opportunities to think about the process of public health, not just the content. So stuff like, how do you do a community plan? How might you track the implementation of programs, strategies, or activities that are going on? How might evaluation be able to be helpful? So the process of public health is systematic, and the content really varies. So I'm talking about this for also the reason of workforce development. We need a really good workforce in South Carolina. We need a committed workforce in South Carolina. We need an eager workforce in South Carolina. And mostly we need people that can be a little innovative and ask some hard questions to have some changes here so we can go up in our ratings. Check out public health as a career. Check out public health as a lifelong important ambition for everybody, and check into getting some degrees and show us what you can do.
Hello, my name is Victoria Hamilton, and I currently work for the South Carolina Telehealth Alliance. I am from Kentucky originally, and I graduated from the University of Kentucky with my bachelor's degree in public health, as well as my master's degree in public health with a concentration in epidemiology. I previously worked at the Kentucky Department for Public Health in the immunization branch as a data quality analyst. And now in my role at the South Carolina Telehealth Alliance, I am a digital navigation program manager. So I focus on things that could be barriers to telehealth access and addressing those barriers so that more people have access to telehealth. And I would explain public health as the study and practice of affecting the places that we live, work, and play in order to have more favorable environments in which people can thrive.
Lummy Young III. I am the current SCPHA president. In my real work, I work for the Department of Public Health. I'm under the Finance and Operations Bureau. Public health to me is not just a process, but it's a mission. It's an opportunity for communities to come together, to remove barriers, to address all the social determinants of health, and to make all of our lives better and healthier.
My name is Jervelle Ford, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager with the Department of Public Health. To me, public health is working to remove barriers to provide the best possible health outcomes for all people. It's about building and nurturing partnerships with gatekeepers and community members and building that trust so they can let you know what it is that they need and help you make impactful change and move the needle, not based on your own agenda, but what it is that they personally need in their community so they can move forward and take pride in the health to move forward.
My name is Annie Crook, and I work with the Health Equity and Inclusion Office at the South Carolina Department of Public Health. And public health to me is about people making sure that everyone, no matter who they are or where they live, has a fair and real opportunity to be healthy. It's about breaking down barriers that get in the way of care and support, especially for communities that have been overlooked or underserved. I see it as doing the work not only to respond to needs, but to get ahead of them, focusing on prevention, education, and long-term solutions that actually make a difference. At the end of the day, it's about equity in action. It's about showing up, listening, and doing the work to create healthier communities in a way that's sustainable, intentional, and centered on the people that we serve.
Hi, my name is Candy Fredier, and I am the Upstate Region Health Director with the Department of Public Health in South Carolina. And today, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what I think public health is. In my 20 plus years in public health, we have been very focused on community-based interventions and really working closely with communities. So from my perspective, public health really is that effort of working in a hyper-localized effort to determine what is going on in our communities, what is important to our communities, and then strategizing alongside with our community partners to develop plans to improve the public's health. And that really can encompass anything and everything from access to healthcare services to having safe streets to walk and run in. It can include transportation concerns, basic education concerns. And we work with a variety of partners from faith-based to detention centers to nonprofits to help accomplish those goals. So really, public health is all about, at that local level, what is happening in our communities and how can we affect change to better the health outcomes in that community.
I really hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. What an incredible way for us to be innovative and spontaneous and experiment a little bit with podcasting in a different location in a different way. And it turned out to be so amazing. I'm super proud of everyone who participated because I could see them stressing a little bit. They wanted to, but then they got nervous. And I think about how it reminds me of, the feeling of being like on the different side of this mic and just wanting to, I did as much as I could to reassure them, and to have them feel comfortable. And we got so much participation. So again, kudos to everyone who participated. So proud to lift up these voices from South Carolina and look forward to doing future episodes like this when we're traveling in person and having the opportunity to collect these voices and to continue to encourage people to share about public health using plain language, really talking to your family, friends, neighbors, colleagues that are outside of public health and sharing what we do in plain language and sharing those stories whenever you can so that we can get more buy-in. And it helps us to continue to do this work and to protect public health and to have buy-in from outside industries to really see where we overlap with them and to strengthen public health. So let me know what you think of this episode. If there was one particular example or message that stood out to you over the others, we'd love to hear from you. And you can just reach out to us however you communicate with us. If you receive emails from us about this episode, you can respond to that email and share your thoughts. You can reach out to our DMs across social media or even just go to our website and send us a message. We're making it easy for you, but we'd love to hear from you if you'd like to share your thoughts. And you can find the links to connect with any of these organizations mentioned or the people that are represented to these organizations. I'd love for you to follow them and find out more about what they're doing at these organizations. Now, the participants are not, this is not a collaboration with the individual organizations. It's not anything formal like that. These are just people that are participating, sharing their thoughts, and just giving shout outs to where they work and the organizations they represent. And we're just sharing support and love in that way. So this is not an endorsement from one organization or the other. It's simply an old-fashioned networking and collaborating and just lifting up these organizations and these individuals. So where we have connected to these individuals across social media, they'll be tagged as many places as possible. Love for you to follow them, connect with them, grow their network, and just give them some love and some thank yous for, being a part of this platform, especially those that are consultants, supporting what they do. Maybe there's a way that you can support their work. For the students, especially the students, we encourage and support them in any way that you can. So any links that we have for you to connect to them, we'll share that in the show notes page. So the show notes page for this episode, which is episode 454, can be found at phecpodcast.com. And once you're there, just navigate to episode 454 to find the show notes. Now, one more thing before we go. Remember that our podcast has our own app and private community. It's independent of social media platforms. And this is where you can engage with public health professionals from around the world. So in addition to being a part of this community, your membership supports the production of podcast episodes like this one. So you can download our PHEC Podcast Community app in our mobile app store or your mobile app store. So whether you're an Apple or Android user, if you go to your mobile app store, you'll be able to find our app. And you can also visit phecpodcastcommunity.com to join our community on desktop. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for listening. The show notes page is where you'll find links to everything we discussed in this episode. To find the show notes for all of our podcast episodes, just visit phecpodcast.com.